All right, so we thought we'd take this opportunity just to run you through everything that we found with the Porsche that we need to address during this project. First things we want to address in here are the battery boxes. There's a little bit of rust and corrosion. We think it's just surface, but we're going to go through and address that. This is where the gas tank was sitting previously, and you can see we've got all of this old sealer that's around the edge where it used to bond to the body. Next, we've also got the fuel line, the rest of the fuel system. So these are the breather hoses we'll be removing and replacing. They actually don't feel that bad, but we just don't want to take any chances. We've already removed a bunch of the fuel lines and the connections to the fill neck. Lastly, all of the additional fuel lines that meet up with the hard lines in the tunnel and go back to the rear end of the car where the engine is and the fuel pump. We've got those lines removed and or going to be removed today. These strut bushings are also pretty corroded and crispy. We'll be replacing those along with the struts just to make sure the suspension is all nice. We'll move up to the heater hoses and system after that, replacing all of these heater hoses or HVAC hoses, and then making sure that these original parts and pieces still function as they should. Next, we're going to talk about the issues we have with the hood. We have some missing hardware for the hood hinge, so that will need to get replaced. We have to reinstall a gas strut on this side. There's a gas strut installed on the other side, but it looks like it might have aftermarket bolts or have been an aftermarket kit. Next, we've got the bottom of the hood. Here you can see there's two little studs or something popping through. This is where the emblem used to be mounted. If you look at the front of our hood or the top of our hood, those have been filled in and painted over during the paint process. So we're gonna figure out how we're gonna address that. With all of these things that need to be addressed, obviously we still have assembly to do. There's no carpet or any of the other things that go in the front, but we plan on putting that all back together. And again, while this may not be a complete restoration, it's gonna be darn close. So with that, let's move on to the interior. I'll kick you over to Adam.
Welcome to the interior. Obviously it's missing, but let me point out a few things that we need to address. So we've taken out the glove box and these knee pad boards here. Ashtray is out. We're gonna be taking some of these pieces to an interior specialist to get little nicks and stuff repaired. Looking at the whole dash here, this is in pretty great shape. We have a whole dash that's gonna come on here and replace this. And obviously, as you can see, there's no glass in the car here. The front windshield is the only glass that we are missing, so that's something we're gonna have to try and source. We've taken out all of the pedal assembly down here. We're gonna be disassembling more of this interior. I've started taking some of the wiring apart, but tried labeling it so you can remember where some of that stuff goes. Right here you can see there is actually a slice in the floor pan where the driver's left foot goes here. It looks like there was some accident where this got punctured and some of that metal got pushed back into place. We're gonna have that fully repaired and welded. There's some other bits as we've been underneath the car, like you saw with the gas tank, that got pushed up. So right here's an area where it got smushed up a little bit, and we're gonna ask some people how to address that. We're also gonna address everything that's in this center tunnel. We're gonna disassemble the shift stuff, all of this handles and linkage. There's some things that are disconnected under here, and obviously some corrosion that we wanna get cleaned up. All right, this might look a little awkward, and that's because it is, but we're gonna have to get in here. We're gonna take up all the carpet and some of this sound deadening material. There's a bunch of kind of like old foam that we're gonna have to take off, and it's cracked along the rear deck here. So we're going to address that by probably taking most of it out. If you're a fan of crispy ramen noodles, you can see that some of this wiring is quite a bit cracked. So we're gonna have to either address this or cancel this completely.
Delete it.
Yeah, crispy wire delete. We're gonna do this. There's also some wiring back here, so we'll be addressing all of the wiring as we go through. There's corrosion in some of these terminals that we'll clean up. I think this is for defrost and maybe the map lights that are up here. All right, so for everything that you can't see in the interior, we've taken that out and cleaned it up. And we spoke with Chad at WeatherTech about how to address some of those things and fix some of the interior bits. All right, so let's move back to the engine bay where Jeremy's gonna show you a bit more.
Okay, I don't know why I keep popping out of the parts of this car, but let's address the engine bay. There's a few things going on here. Let me walk you through them. Come here and check this out. As we mentioned with the emblems, we do have some of the holes that are already in place for some of the logos, and then we have some that are filled in. So again, we've got to figure out what we're going to put back, how we're going to address it, and see what it takes to get it done right. So obviously there's no engine in here. This is a good time while the engine's out, being rebuilt by my Uncle Matt down in California, along with the transmission. We want to make sure we clean out all the dust and grime, address any potential problems that we might have with either the wiring, and replace any old fuel lines or hoses that need to be addressed. Next, I think we should drop under the car and take a look at what we have going on under here. Under the car, you can see, again, it's really dusty and dirty under here, but we have removed the fuel lines that were coming from the front of the car through the hard lines in the tunnel, and then they went to the fuel pump that was sitting over here. We're going to work on figuring out how we get that either refurbished or just see if it still works. Then we're going to remove the brake lines today, get all the brake calipers and everything off that we can. Those will likely be ultrasonic cleaned and perhaps restored further. And we'll replace any hoses or anything else. The last and really crappy thing that we found, you may have seen a little bit as we're showing you around, but it's this rusty spot right here. But we think we've got a plan to get it fixed. Part of pulling apart the interior up on top is to make sure that we can see this from the top and see what we need to do and make sure it hasn't spread any further. And then we'll figure out how we're going to address it, but it will be fixed the right way.
All right, as we've been diving into the details of how this car is supposed to look from the factory, this grille is supposed to be black. So that's something that we're going to address by either replacing or get it anodized again. And taking a look at the exterior, we have the body panels. We've got this door that we really haven't talked about a whole lot, but there is a massive dent in the driver's door. If you can see in the lighting there, the paint is chipped. We've got obviously some repair work that needs to be done. So we're going to start prepping this to take it to a paintless dent repair shop named Dent Solutions. I totally remembered that. That's where we're going to take it to have this PDR'd, and then we'll take it to a paint shop to have it prepped and painted. And this door, along with the body of the car, is going to have to be painted and blended in. All right, so in preparation, like I said, we're going to take off some of the door hardware that is in this door. There's just some rods and other bits. But we have some things like this chip here when we're removing the door that are on the body of the car. We're going to have to address some of those bits. So let's take a look at where the rest of the chips are. Here, 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 here. These bolt heads. Keep coming, there's more over here. This is not a chip, but there are some really light dents here that we'll have to have PDR'd. So that's primarily everything that we know to date that is wrong with this car. Stick with us while we handle these issues and show you how we take care of them.